Good evening, welcome to The Probe here on Joy News. On The Probe today, the Attorney General in the Minister of Justice office has been in the news lately on a variety of issues. The Attorney General office succeeded in convincing a high court in the Western region to jail some 25 illegal miners to 340 years for engaging in illegal mining, contrary to Section 99 of the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2019. But some, including the NDC, are not happy because those jails are low-hanging fruits, as the campaigns, including some ministers and bigwigs in the governing MPP, neck deep in the illegal mining business alleged by the former chairman of the committee tasked to stop Galamsey, Professor Kwabena from Boaten, are working free. The Attorney General said there is simply no evidence to back these claims. Also, the Attorney General's office got a court to impose a 15-year jail term on the founder of Defunct Capital Bank, William Atuesien, for stealing over 90 million Ghana cedis belonging to the bank in the United Kingdom. However, a court awarded a $140 million arbitrary against Ghana for the termination of a power deal with GPGC, a subsidiary of international commodities company Trafigura, in 2021. We are asking why. We are also looking at access to legal education, the status of the conduct of the Public Officers Bill, and other issues. Let's probe this together with my guest, Alfred Chuanyebua, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice. We are live on Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, affiliates across the country. We are also live on myjoyonline.com on all social media platforms. We are also available on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV 125. Stay for details. We have a cocktail of issues to discuss this evening on The Probe. Your comments are welcome via our social media handles. You can drop your questions if you have any for the Deputy Attorney General who is with me here in the studio. We have so many issues to digest within the next hour. Mr. Chuanyebua, you're welcome to The Probe.
Thank you very much.
And I trust you are doing well.
I'm doing so well.
Yes, we go way back.
I remember those days in secondary school. We were in the same dormitory way back. Yeah.
All right. So let's first establish the workings of the Attorney General and the structures. How do you operate?
Thank you very much. Now, if you come to the Office of Attorney General, Minister of Justice, realize that there are three main divisions. You have the Civil Division, you have the Criminal Prosecution Division, you also have the Drafting Division. Now, if you go to the Civil Division, it's basically responsible for issues relating to civil matters,
right? Like
reviewing agreements, drafting agreements, representing the state in civil matters, and that division is headed by the Solicitor General. Then you come to the Prosecution Division, where you have the officers that basically also going to court to prosecute cases on behalf of the Republic.
Right.
And that division is headed by the Director of Public Prosecutions. And if you go to the Drafting Division, you also get to know that Ghana, we draft a lot of laws. So every bill that has to go to Parliament will have to go through that particular office.
And I guess any agreement between government agencies and other partners, you have to give your buy-in.
Exactly. If there are agreements that we have to enter into as a government, we have the people of Ghana. It is a duty of the Attorney General's office to review such an agreement, to see whether the clauses there are standard clauses, whether the clauses there are in consonance with our laws, whether there's a need for international agreement, whether there's a need for Parliament to also come in,
right?
Whether there's a need for Minister of Finance, because there are instances where you have to defer to the Finance Ministry for their input before such agreements can go through. Now, the office is not only stationed in Accra. That's a ministry where you have office in all the regions in Ghana. Currently, we don't have office in the 6 new regions, but we are working around the clock to have office in the 6 new regions. But all those regions are under the original regions.
Okay.
And the office actually is 2 in 1. You have the section relating to the Attorney General. You have the section relating to the Ministry of Justice. And currently, if you go to the ministry, you have the AG himself, then 2 deputies, myself and my sister Diana. Actually, I am the one responsible for the prosecutions of cases, and then my sister is also in charge of civil matters. So, in a nutshell,
this is how it works.
That's how it
has the setup of the Office of the Special Prosecutor limit you in a way in terms of the cases you can prosecute?
I would say to some extent, because prior to the establishment of that office, it was the duty of the AG to prosecute all manner of cases. But with the passage of that act, we are now going to have a situation where, when it comes to corruption and corruption-related matters,
yes,
and some aspect of procurement, that one has been given to OSP to do it. So when we have issues relating to corruption, we defer to the OSP to handle same. So that's the only portion that has been taken off.
Away from the Attorney General. Because I realize that in the matter relating to the former Water and Sanitation Minister, Madam Cecilia Dapa, the OSP is handling some aspect of the case, while the Attorney General, while the police prosecuting on behalf of the Attorney General is also dealing with some aspects of the case.
Yes. So in that particular case, after the police had submitted docket to the office, we realized that there were issues about possible money laundering charges. So we then instructed them to go deeper into that aspect. When it comes to corruption, the OSP is handling that one exclusively. And so the two are separate matters. Okay. But you have the situation where the OSP may be handling a matter, and that matter may also involve other offenses that it is not mandated to handle. I think that's where now the
issues are.
We have to also...
So the issue about the money laundering relating to Madam Cecilia Dapa, what is the status of that?
We are still waiting for the police to get us the docket. We asked them to do certain things, and I think they are still working on it.
All right. So my guest this evening is the Deputy Attorney General. We are looking at a variety of issues relating to that office. They've been in the news lately. So let's start from the issue of illegal mining, because we've done some work relating to this matter. My colleague in Kumasi, Erasmus Saridon, has done a lot of work relating to illegal mining, where he's highlighted the ills that we are experiencing in the country. Now, Professor Frimpong Boateng was also in the news recently when he brought forth the report that named some members in government, according to him, are neck deep in the illegal mining or galamsey business. Now, the office wrote a piece and actually directed the police yard, to go ahead with, further work on the matter. There's been reaction from the years. There's been reaction from those civil society groups that have worked in this sector, and they say that the AG may not have done a better job. Do you still stand by what you put out there?
Yes, Elton. If you look at galamsey or illegal mining, we are very particular about that activity. It's causing a lot of havoc to our environment, and the effect of such an activity, as we all know, can have a long-term effect on our well-being. And so this fight is not a fight for an individual or a group of people. It's a fight that we all need to take part. Now, when it comes to this fight, let me also commend multimedia, yourself and your colleagues in Kumasi and others. You've waged a strong war. Now, we've gotten to a point where people have been named in a report.
Right.
And that report was submitted to the police for them to do further investigations. As you know, the AG's office doesn't have the power to investigate. We rely on state institutions like the police service, YOCO, at times National Security, NIB, etc., etc. We only come in after investigations have been concluded by the institution that's doing the investigation. So in this particular matter, the police conducted their investigations. After they had finished doing so, they submitted a docket to our office. And what we do there is that when we receive a docket, we take the docket to the prosecution division. At the prosecution division, there are various group heads. You have different groups. So when the docket is sent to the division, it's handed over to a group. And the group then gives it to a lawyer or lawyers to handle such a matter. After the lawyers have gone through everything, then they submit their report to the group head. And the group head, after also going through, may either query the report or say, let's do A, B, or C. Thereafter, it's submitted to DPP, who has that division, before the report or the opinion goes out. So this particular report went through the same process.
Okay.
And after going through the same process, the officers who have been in this ministry for all this while, the senior officers within, advised that the evidence available on the docket wasn't sufficient enough to merit the prosecution of some people in that particular report. However, 3 other people from the docket, there was a need for the police to also continue doing the work they're supposed to be doing so that they'll bring it back to us for us to go into it. So the report, as I speak to you, we stand by the report. But that report is not closed. I've been saying so because...
What does it mean if it is not closed?
It's not closed because the best thing we could do in circumstances was to say that those people should be discharged. If you are discharged, that doesn't mean that you've been acquitted and discharged. It simply means that for now, we cannot prosecute you. So you can walk free. But if something new comes, for us to review that decision, if that decision could be reviewed, and that evidence is to the effect that we should be prosecuted, you'll be prosecuted.
Does it mean that there's still an ongoing investigation relating to these individuals who have discharged?
So far as it's a criminal matter, you cannot say you've stopped the investigations. As and when new information come up, the investigators will take the lead and they move on. But at the time that I received the report, looking at what we had in that particular report on the docket as well, the only conclusion that we reached was that some people cannot be prosecuted based on the evidence on that particular docket.
So basically, the AG's office was not in any way involved in the gathering of intel on these individuals?
No, that is not our mandate. We only look at what the security agencies have done, or the investigators have done, and then we advise. We look at the law, we look at the facts that you have on the docket to see whether we can prosecute that matter. If we realize that we have a law, but the facts or the evidence will not support that law, then we say, no, there's no way we can go to court to embarrass ourselves. The only thing we can do is that we advise that this case cannot be prosecuted. But as I said, that will not end the matter.
Did Professor Frimpong Boateng assist in any way during the investigation into these matters?
From the report that we had from the police prosecutors, they went to him and he told them that the information that he had given to them was enough. At least he had given a report to them, and that was what he was standing by. So in a way, he gave them that report. So it was the duty of the police to also take statements from those that he had named and do further investigations. We take the docket, realize that all the individuals who were named were invited by the police and statements taken from them. At certain instance, the police also went further to also conduct their own independent checks from some states. For example, you say you have a license. They may want to check out from the Minerals Commission whether you indeed have a license. So all those things were done.
And then specifically, these, the names and the things you're talking about was related to the report of Professor Frimpong Boateng.
Exactly.
Not beyond it.
No, exactly. That is because specific allegations were made that Mr. A, you did A, B, C. So you were invited by the police to also respond to the allegations.
The criticism relating to this, however, is that beyond what Professor Frimpong may have put in the document, there are also evidence, according to some, that is available, that if the AG is interested in getting to the bottom of this matter. For example, my colleague put out a documentary that had, in some of the visuals that were put out there, security personnel, providing protection for some people, in his estimation, were involved in illegal mining. These are public records.
Yes. Elton, let's look at it this way. This report or this opinion is not about Galamsey in general.
Yes.
Specific instance that the professor mentioned. And so if there is evidence about Galamsey in general, we will not dispute that because we agree. If you go to the forest, you see the degradation. You go to the river bodies, you see the extent of pollution of our rivers. That evidence is there. But the next thing is, if the evidence is there, who caused it? There should be that kind of nexus. You have to link a named individual to an activity that we claim is an illegal activity when it comes to mining. And so if the people named in the report, you have any further evidence to the effect that they were actually involved in that activity, you will take the lead and they move on. If you also heard about people having mentioned some people on radio who have been shared some audios and videos with me, we are also looking at that. Okay. As I said, it's not closed. If any member of the public has any evidence to the effect that those named in that report, even not they alone, if there are others, they can just give the report to the police and we also follow it up. But that's the only way that we can actually win this particular fight. Because in your intro, you mentioned some small fishes.
Yes.
Who were arrested. Considered. You arrest these young men or young ladies, you see them as small fishes. The expectation is that they should actually help in the investigation by opening up to say, yes, I was in this forest. I was sent by Mr. A. Or Mr. A bought this equipment for me to do this activity. But when these people are arrested, the expectation is that they should actually help in the investigation by opening up to say, yes, I was in this forest. I was sent by Mr. A. Or Mr. A bought this equipment for me to do this activity. But when these people are arrested, the expectation is that they should actually help in the investigation by opening up to say, yes, I was in this forest. I was sent by Mr. A. Or Mr. A bought this equipment for me to do this activity. But when these people are arrested, Unfortunately,
they don't provide enough information to help you.
Exactly.
So in the case of Professor Frimpong Boateng, your conclusion is that he failed to provide evidence to back the claims that he put in the document.
He, apart from the report that he submitted, which he claims is the evidence that he has, there was nothing new. So maybe from his point of view, having altered that report, it was enough for him to have said he has discharged his duty as a Ghanaian. But we were thinking that, for example, if an allegation is made against Mr. A, Mr. A has denied. Perhaps if I were him and I have further information, I would say, yeah, he's denying. I can show you, go to ABC, or Mr. B even has the information, or I got the information from Mr. X, then there will be a lead. I think the good old Prof also thought that having done that one, it was enough for him. We will not fault him because he is also a citizen. He has his information and he knows the extent to which he gets that information. But if there are things further that he may want us to know, why not?
But standing on that matter, and I just want to find out, Professor Frimpong Boateng, until recently, was a high-profile member of your government, served as a cabinet minister. President trusted him so much that he had him spearhead the fight against illegal mining. Beyond the fact that he put together a report, which in your estimation did not offer enough evidence to hold these people, did you make attempt to speak to Professor Frimpong Boateng directly and to say that, what do you have? What can we do with it? And how do we move forward? Did you take that step?
As an office?
Yes.
No, because it was the police that was doing the investigations. As I say, we do not investigate. We do not interrogate. We rely on the police in this particular case. The police told us that they went to him. We get further information from him, but he said the information that he had given to them in the report was enough. That was what he had.
Let me ask the final question on this so we can move to other matters. Are we really winning the fight against illegal mining from the legal point of view?
From the legal point of view, I would say when it comes to prosecution, we are doing so well. I can say it. Because
Ashawan is hoping to have her day in court in December.
Yes, Ashawan, the judgment will be on the 4th of December. And as we speak now, there are over 130 Galamsey cases pending in the courts in Ghana. 130. And the accused person involved in that case, there are over 800.
800.
Over 800 who are facing prosecution.
All Ghanaians or foreigners?
Both foreigners and then Ghanaians. So in terms of prosecution, we are doing it. When it comes to the punishment, prior to 2019, people could be fined, they could be imprisoned up to 3 years. Now there was an amendment to the Minerals and Mining Act. Now the minimum is 15 for Ghanaians. Foreigners, minimum is 20 years up to 25. So now legal regime is well set out. But it's about getting evidence to prosecute.
But again, you've also criticized some of the judges and the fact that most of them appear to be using the old law in administering these matters.
Yes, I remember a judge in the Western region used the old law to punish some people who had been convicted.
Is it a case that she is unaware that there's been an amendment to the law?
We cannot speak to why the judge did so. But we went to
really supporting the fight against illegal mining.
I think they are supporting because from what we have also read, in fact, Western region, some people last 2 or 3 weeks were sentenced to over 300 and something years.
Yeah, 340 years.
So that judge made that mistake. We didn't let it rest there. We went to the court to reverse it. And those people are now in custody. So the judiciary is also doing its bit. But our main concern is getting the evidence to nail, as you put it, the big fishes. Because most of the people that we have prosecuted are not people who can raise money to even buy those equipment that they use in mining, or those equipment, for example, excavator.
But doesn't that cast doubt on the quality of investigation done by your investigators?
The investigators that we have now, we rely on the police, Yoku and the rest. And it's our expectation that when they go to the field, they will do the right thing. They will get the right support also to do the right thing. But investigations in Ghana, I cannot say it's 100% correct.
Hey students, got a lot on your plate getting ready for homecoming? Shipt is here to help. So Shipt can connect you with a personal shopper who will same day deliver all homecoming must-haves. Burgers, chips, plates, drinks. Your shopper with Shipt will get all that and more from your favorite local stores so you can enjoy tailgating. Shipt, delight in every delivery. Check out shipt.com/student today for more info. That's SHIPT.com/student. student.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Derek Jeter as the pinch hitter for your baseball team.
Jeter, you're in. We need a home run.
I'll give it a try. I've swung a bat once or twice.
That's out of here.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Trying to protect your identity by yourself is a lot like trying to be a quarterback without an offensive line. LifeLock alerts you to blindside threats you may miss on your own, even if you're monitoring your credit. If a threat happens to get through, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist is there to help. Join now and save up to 25% your first year at LifeLock.com/aware. That's LifeLock.com/aware to save 25%. LifeLock. Identity theft protection starts here.
Definitely, you have people who may want to do armchair investigation. By armchair, I mean where the person will sit only in the office
and then do the work. Isn't that the reason why the campaigns are still working free?
So maybe moving forward,
low-hanging fruits rather facing the law.
Because I've been saying this, that if you want to move from here to Kumasi, you go through the road, you have a lot of checkpoints. Every district in Ghana has a DCEO and MCE. Every town has a chief. Every electoral area has an assemblyman. Every unit has a unit committee members. And all these people are there. They see what is going on, right? But who is ready to bear the cat?
All right, let's hold it there and let's move to other issues. Folks, you are watching The Probe here on Joy News. We're also live on Joy 99.7 FM, and of course, our affiliates across the country. We're also available on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 125. We've been looking at the fight against illegal mining and, of course, the AG's own report on the investigation that was conducted regarding the Professor Bob Watson document he submitted, which named some people in this administration for their complicity in the illegal mining business. Now, also, we're going to look at some matters that the AG was successful in court. Remember that after some years, flowing from the banking sector crisis, the AG took some people to court. Now, 2 weeks ago, the court sentenced Mr. Atuesian, one of the architects in this, disturbing issue, to 15 years in jail for stealing 90 million Ghana cedis. There's been a lot of talks regarding this particular matter. We want to get the backstory to this. Again, my guest is the Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Alfred Tuah-Yeboah. Mr. Tuah-Yeboah, the court documents estimate that money stolen is around 250 million Ghana cedis. The convict got 15 years in jail for failing to pay 90 million Ghana cedis. Did we get, value for what we went to court to do?
I think to some extent we had something reasonable.
Reasonable?
Something reasonable.
So there could have been more.
There could have been more because we were looking at the 90 million Ghana cedis. But we so far were able to recover 37 million Ghana cedis. And let me, at the very outset, state that since independence up to today, the state has not been able to recover money from people who have committed economic crimes to the tune that we have done this particular case. And this is the first time that in a single case, prosecutors have been able to recover 37 million Ghana cedis from an accused person. Previously, people will be taken
from
to court.
An estimated 250 million Ghana cedis.
Now it's close 90 plus because It's not 250. After investigation, the money came to 192.
Okay.
Then further, we realized that some monies were somewhere, they were all blocked. So that's why the money eventually came to 90 plus million Ghana cedis. Prior to this, a lot of people who were taken to court, whether starting in the 90s, before 90s, 2000s, people will be taken to court for causing financial loss. They'll be convicted, sentenced, and they'll go to prison. They will not pay any money to the state. They go to prison, it's either they serve the term or they are pardoned. They come back home and enjoy their booty. The thinking now is that we should be able to recover as much as possible from those that we have charged regarding the banking crisis.
Yeah.
And that if we're able to recover, then at least where the state took that money from, because we are told that the state had to go into the taxpayer's kitty to put some money and then pay the depositors. And in this particular case, the accused person, that's Mr. Atu-Essien, from the negotiation that he had with us, he admitted that indeed an amount of 57.5 million Ghana cedis was the amount that he thought or he knew to have been stolen, or which he saw as one of those amounts that he has led the state to lose some money.
Right.
And when we got to 57.5, we said no, and that he was ready to refund the 57. We said, fine, if this is what you admit, then you have to also compensate the state. If you take section 35, it talks about refunding the amount that you claim you have stolen or you have caused the state to lose, and they also mark some kind of restitution or compensation or reparation to the state. So out of the 90, 57.5 was what he admitted. The remaining amount was what we forced him, or we negotiated that he should top it up. So that at least if the state has lost the 57, something should be added. And that's why we came to the 90 million Ghana cedis. And out of the 90, as you know, he's paid 37. Now there is argument, I know whether we became in there, whether we maybe couldn't have waited.
Yeah, I mean, what we are learning is that he said a judgment that had made it difficult for him to sell some of the assets to raise the money to pay you. Or if the AG was, or the state was interested in getting the money, then you should have waited a bit longer for him to sell these assets and then pay the instead of going for the custodial sentence.
Now, December 2022, we brokered this deal. He paid 30 million, remaining 60 million. Then in that agreement, which he signed, and we also signed, there was a clause that he was to pay the first installment of 20 million Ghana by 28th of April 2023. So the expectation was that by April ending, he will pay the 20 million. August ending, 20 million. December, 20 million. The first installment of 20 million, he has so far paid only 7 million. And so if we were to give him time, how long? Was it going to take another 5 years, 3 years, 2 years? And if we were managed to do so, we'll have sent a wrong signal out there for other accused persons. Oh, you can go and agree with the state, but if it comes to the West, the state will extend the time for you. Even in this particular case, when we went to court in May, the judge in his wisdom said, oh, allow him some space. We went to court in June, no show. In July, we went to court, no show. Fortunately for him, because the court was going on vacation, he had up to October. And from July to October, not even one cedi
Was paid.
So
you think that it was just food dragging, or just buying time to avoid custodial sentence?
He was just buying time, and he was talking about some judgments against some of his company and the rest. You know what it means? Now, if you have a judgment against a company, the one who lost the case may even appeal. That one I know can take the next 3, 4, 5 years. And we were not minded, we're not ready to wait for him for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Okay. We thought that we had given all the space. He has just decided to span whatever opportunity that we gave him. So the only option left was for the court to pass custodial sentence on him.
But Mr. Chanyabua, has justice really been served? Clearly, he didn't act alone. What about the board?
No, you see something. If you look at the docket, you realize that the board members were also investigated.
And you found nothing?
They were questioned. And the investigator found nothing linking them to the commission of the crime that we charged Atu-Essien with. And that's the reason why I think 2 of them were management members. 2 of the 4 accused persons, management members, they were also charged. But at the end of the day, the court came to the conclusion that 3 of them were not guilty. It was only Atu-Essien who was guilty. So the board members were also interrogated.
The board's report said that most of these decisions were taken at the board level.
If, for example, Atu-Essien went to the BOG and he was given 620 million Ghana cedis, and 90 million of that amount didn't go into the liquidity support that he took the money for, the normal business practice is that that money will leave the company only with the consent of the board. And so when he was charged with stealing the company's property, if he had the consent of the board, he would have raised it. Yes, I had their consent. And they will even come to testify for him. But in this particular case, no way. They didn't have their consent. So until there's evidence that the other board members also knew that he was stealing, but decided to close their eyes. But from the docket that we worked on, there was nothing of that sort. But once again, it's a criminal matter. At any stage that there's evidence that any of the board members acted in a way that also led to the loss of that amount, they will also be held.
But as far as the AG is concerned, is this case closed?
Relative to
is there any other person you are investigating?
Relative to Atuesian and the other 3 persons who were prosecuted, it's closed. If there are others who can get evidence subsequently to also prosecute, you will do so.
Well, if you have any question, you can forward it to us. This is the probe. We have the Deputy Attorney Generals in the office, and we are looking at a variety of issues. We've had a discussion on illegal mining. We are on the 15-year sentence that was handed down to Mr. Atuesian, relating to the banking sector crisis. And we're going to look at Atuforsen and the ambulance matter, and then we'll look at the status of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, access to legal education. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, I was with President Akufo-Addo as a presidential correspondent, where a sword was cut for the construction of a more enhanced, elaborate, more fit-for-purpose law school just around at Legon, the IPS area. Now, if you should drive around that area, the place has been turned into more or less a forest. What is the status of that as well? We're going to deal with that. But let's just stay in the court a little longer. The ambulance matter. First, I want us to clear this matter. Did Honorable Atuforsen, the minority leader, did he approach the AG's office to negotiate for the payment of whatever money that has sent all of them to court?
Honorable Atuforsen did not or has not indicated any move to negotiate with us. Mm-hmm. Rather, a third party wrote to us.
And what is the interest of this third party?
That's Big C, the company that brought the ambulance. They wrote to us that they were ready to refund or pay some amount of money so that we could withdraw the charges against the accused persons. Mm-hmm. Then we said, fine, we've taken notice of your letter, but you are not part of the people that we are prosecuting. So we need to know whether the people that are prosecuting are also in support of that move. So the other 2 accused persons wrote to us that they really had no objection to it. The same way, Atuforsen also caused us to also write that they had no objection to the move by the third party to make payment in order to settle the matter. Okay. So there's nothing like Atuforsen approaching us that we should negotiate. Rather, a third party made that move.
Because whatever the third party wrote clearly will benefit him.
At the end of the day, if we were to accede to the request of the third party, mm-hmm. to take that amount of money and then discontinue prosecuting the matter, definitely it will be a beneficiary.
But the AG's office has rejected this proposal.
So far as we are concerned, the third party is not a party to this particular matter. In fact, the last time we received a letter, we also wrote back to Honorable Atuforsen to indicate to them whether those other persons wanted to take advantage of the Plea Bargaining Act. Mm-hmm. And then Atuforsen's lawyer wrote back to us, no, that he doesn't have the intention of taking advantage of the Plea Bargaining mm-hmm. Act, and that the case should proceed. So that's the reason why, was it last Thursday, we had to continue with the hearing of the matter.
And in court this week, the former finance minister said that he gave authorization to Dr. Atuforsen. So the question is, couldn't the people who were looking to hold them before, couldn't have extended it beyond the minority leader?
All right, maybe because this matter is a live case, I will give you a very short answer. That was his evidence in chief. That's the evidence in chief of the former finance minister. But our side too was also put to him through cross-examination. Mm-hmm. So I want us to wait. Well, it's the duty of the judge to weigh the evidence as well as our cross-examination to see where the truth lies. So in actual fact, he has been cross-examined and then he's been discharged. Now we'll go back, and then if they have other witnesses, they also bring them to court for us to also go through the process.
But outside the courtroom, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Aban Babin, sees this as persecution.
I disagree with him. It's rather prosecution. Maybe he forgot himself and they use persecution. It's rather prosecution. It's prosecution because you have a prosecutor in court. He's in a court of law. He's given the right to a lawyer of his choice. He can defend himself through the full rigors of the law. If he's not guilty, the court will say he's not guilty. If he's guilty, the court will say he's guilty. So you talk about persecution only where you don't have any law backing what you're doing, and the person also being blocked from also assessing all his legal rights or asserting is right under law. But in this particular case, it's going through the process. At the end of the day, it will be the duty of the judge or the court to pronounce judgment.
So this is not a politically motivated case.
Apart from that, it's about the prosecution of an alleged crime and nothing else.
But if you are interested in recovery, then this proposal should be something you should give attention to.
As I said, a third party brought that proposal. In our laws, currently, it's either you go under Section 35 or you go under the Plea Bargaining Act. And in Section 35, it should be the accused person who should be ready to offer that proposal. Under the Plea Bargaining Act, it should be the accused person who should also initiate such a move. In this case, the accused persons have not initiated such a move. It's rather a third party. So it's not known when it comes to criminal prosecution.
All right. The Deputy AG is my guest on the probe, and we are looking at a lot of issues. So somebody sent us a text earlier, and this person is taking us back to the Professor Pimpon Boateng matter. He says that the OSP, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, is also investigating Professor Pimpon Boateng. And the person is asking whether the verdict or the conclusion of the AG's office, what impact is it going to have on what the OSP is doing? Is your conclusion not simply going to nullify whatever the OSP is pursuing?
No. It has nothing to do with the OSP's investigation. OSP will be looking at corruption and corruption-related offenses, as well as some areas related to procurement, if any. Ours had nothing to do with corruption and or corruption-related matters. So two distinct aspects of the case. So OSP is at liberty to dive deep into the matter and come out with its own conclusion on this particular case. As far as we are concerned, OSP is an independent body. It has its own that's the advantage that OSP has. It has its own investigators as being part of that entity. So after the investigation, they can also prosecute on their own. But in our case, we do not have investigators on our own. We have to rely on others to prosecute. So OSP is at liberty to investigate.
All right. Now, let's turn attention to the statutes of the Conduct of Public Officers Bill. It's a matter that is of concern to a lot of people because the people have some confidence that if this bill is passed, then it will help in the fight against corruption, because then you have an instrument to judge people regarding how they conduct themselves whilst in public office. What is the status of this bill?
Yes, this bill is one of the sunshine bills, which we expect to mature into law. What do I mean by sunshine? Sunshine legislations are a piece of laws that seek to throw light on corruption and make sure that if you are corrupt, you are found out. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill is one of such bills. And the current status of it is that we did all the stakeholder engagements. It was submitted to Cabinet. Cabinet referred it to a subcommittee. Thereafter, it came back to us, and as we speak now, it is with the Minister of Finance, because we have to do some financial impact analysis on that particular bill. When that one is finished, to get back to Cabinet, and if Cabinet okays it, to go to Parliament. But I'm giving the assurance that that bill will be passed into law in the lifetime session of this particular Parliament.
Of this particular Parliament?
Yes.
What really is in this bill?
Yes, one of the key things about asset declaration. Currently, if you take our asset declaration law, what it seeks to do is that you just pick the form, itemize the assets, you itemize your liabilities, you put it in the envelope, you close it, you go there, you close it, then you go and give it to the Auditor General, then you take your receipt. But this bill has put in a mechanism where the items that you've indicated as your assets or liability can be verified by the Auditor General. So if I send it...
Therefore, it can be open.
It can be open. You don't have to close it.
Against the current provision where it's sealed.
It's sealed.
And so I can just present to you an empty envelope containing nothing.
Nothing.
And the law doesn't allow you to open it.
Exactly.
So whatever I say that I own, I'm justified to own it.
I always give this example that a corrupt person can easily say, per the current arrangement, that I have one house in Sunyane. One house. I'll indicate in one house. Now, I've not indicated even the number of rooms or how the structure. So someone just put the house number, something like my own Bakudi and Sunyane. That's the house. Then within this term, if I engage in corrupt activities, I can go and remodel the house into a modern edifice. Then you question, I tell you, I declared it in my asset declaration form. So that's the defect. But currently, if I submit such a declaration, the Auditor General has the right to even send his officers to Sunyane
to go and verify.
But they can know the nature and the extent of that house. So then in the event that I decide to use public money through corrupt means to pull it down, even rebuild it, they'll be able to know. So that's one of the things. Verification is one of the things in the current bill. Now, you also realize that in terms of the current dispensation, you can assume office without declaring. That law says you have up to 6 months.
Yes.
But this bill is saying no. You must declare before you assume office. And when before you even assume office, you should get a letter from the Auditor General to the head of the entity you are going to work with, stating that indeed
you've satisfied the constitutional provision.
Yes. Then there's also a provision relating to punishment. In the current dispensation, if I fail to declare or if under declare or I do anything, at best, you can go to the Commission on Human Rights, maybe I can remove from office. But the current bill is seeking to impose criminal sanctions. If it's found out that you've done something untoward relating to the declaration that you made, you can be arrested by the police and you'll be prosecuted. And if you are convicted, you can go to prison. So that provision is also in the new bill. Then you have provision relating to gifts. People in office usually will tell you, oh, I had this car by way of gifts. But it's a provision. There are certain gifts that when you receive, you must declare.
Or certain gifts.
There's a threshold. Like so for example, if I go to my hometown as a public officer and my chief gives me a goat,
for example.
You know, that one is something that you can, so that's why there's a threshold.
So that one you don't have to declare.
Yes, but it's a threshold.
I also know, for example, this is on a lighter side, but I know that a certain regional minister in a certain region, when he was appointed as regional minister, decided to embark on a tour of all the districts in his region. By the time he got back, he had set up a farm.
A farm,
about 50 goats and sheep.
Yes.
So in this case,
so that's the threshold will give us. I don't have the bill here right now, but there's an amount. That's the threshold. If you go beyond that threshold, then you must declare it. You must declare it so that you pay taxes on the assets that you have declared. Then thereafter, too, in the event that at the end of the 4 years, you have to file again, they'll be able to know whether you've made money or if not made money. There's this issue about liabilities. In the current arrangement, I can indicate if you want to go to an office and then steal, you can say, I took a loan of 1 million Ghana cedis from ABC.
Right.
That's what I've declared. I've sealed it. In actual fact, I've not taken any loan from anyone. So what I'll do right now is that if I see money from public office, 1 million, I'll use that one to build.
Yeah.
If you question, I'll tell you that it was a loan that I took. So that's the essence of the verification that earlier on spoke about. So this new bill has a whole lot. Then there's one aspect of it that we also need to look at. People in public office, when there are issues relating to their office, most people, because we are paid monthly, we don't care whether we answer queries or whether people want to. For example, in our ministry, we defend the state. If the Minister of Roads and Highways, for example, is sued, the expectation of the ministry that when we write to the roads minister or the highways, they're going to give us information so that we can defend that matter. But if we write to you and you fail to give us the information, at the end of the day, something that's judgment debt against the state, you will be held liable.
Okay.
But there are so many things.
There are so many things
in this new bill.
I was going to go to traffic, but just because you brought in the example that you just cited. Okay, let's finish on the conduct bill. So you are confident that it will pass before the 8th Parliament expires?
That is our expectation.
There's that commitment from Cabinet.
Yeah, from cabinet, from our side.
Okay.
When it gets to parliament, that's a different ballgame.
That's a different matter.
But we also, there's an expectation that parliament also do what they're supposed to. Yes.
But again, we've also been told that in the last 3 years, your office, the Attorney General, has been working on this proposed amendment to the Criminal Offences Bill that is seeking between 12 to 25-year jail term for private individuals offering bribes. The Commissioner for Strike says that a lot of work has been done on this already. They are unhappy that the AG appears to be full dragging on moving this to the next stage. What is the status of this bill as well?
Now, there is a proposal to comprehensively review our Criminal Offences Act and the Criminal Procedure Act. As I speak to you, the office has drafted the bill. It has gone to some stages, and I think what the Commissioner is talking about is part of this new one. We're to go through the process. We're able to do the stakeholder consultation. Then we factor in everything, submit it to a cabinet for cabinet to also check it. So there's something of that sort in the works.
Tafigura, $140 million against the state. It appears there was no representation from the government of Ghana, in this case, the Attorney General's office. What happened?
Now, there was representation from the state. This judgment was delivered in January 2021, before the current Attorney General assumed office as the Attorney General. And this particular case was fought, or the state was represented by an external solicitor. So that's the sole judgment against the Republic. But when we got to know that there was a judgment against the Republic, the AG took steps to speak to the Ministry of Finance for them to liquidate the debt, because it's a just debt. Now, the Ministry of Finance then entered into agreement with the judgment creditors as to how the state was going to pay this judgment debt of $140 million.
Yes.
A part of it was paid, but the state at a point in time reneged on its promise to go by the agreement.
Why?
For that, I cannot explain.
Based on that, explain?
It is the finance ministry that entered into an agreement, because normally Ghana is the finance ministry that pays all these debts. Then, having failed to do so, then the judgment creditor decided to execute the judgment.
Have they been successful in that?
They attached property belonging to the Republic in the UK. Then they sought to serve us with that process. Our external solicitor then filed a motion trying to set aside the process through which we were served with that process. Then the High Court in England said no, the service on us was properly made. So now the Ministry of Finance has been advised to once again approach the judgment creditors and make every effort to pay that money. I know that they are also in conversations with them. I don't know if they've reached an agreement, but I'm very sure that they'll reach an agreement so that judgment debt could be paid.
So as we speak, some of our property have been attached.
A property in England
has been attached already.
Yes.
And if we are not fast enough, we might lose it.
Because if any property is attached and you don't pay the judgment debt, or you don't agree with the judgment creditor as to how you're going to pay it, then that judgment creditor will go to a legal process to have the property auctioned.
Have you found out from the Ministry of Finance why they failed to do what they were expected to do?
I have not done so, but I think along the line, as I said, there was no payment, and rightly so, the judgment creditor decided to execute the judgment. If I were to issue the judgment creditor, that was the same thing that I would have done.
So our property is in danger of being taken over by this.
If we are not able to settle the judgment debt. Definitely, but I can assure you that the Ministry of Finance, from my understanding, is making every effort to liquidate that debt.
Well, so Deputy, you've been a lawyer in good standing, and you are now serving in this prestigious position as Deputy Attorney. A lot of people want to go to law school, and access in the past was an issue. It is still an issue. Thousands of people wrote the bar exam or the entry to the law school exam. Few people got admission. Over the weekend, over 1,000, an improvement of the last one. What are you doing to ensure that access to legal education becomes so flexible?
Legal education in Ghana, let me take viewers back. I left the law school in the year 2002. That's 21 years ago. At the time that we left the law school, we were about 99, the whole Ghana, 99. 99, the whole Ghana, those of us who were called to the bar. I know those who were also after us, 2,000, 300, 400, maximum 150, 200. But for the first time, just last Friday, over 1,000 people were called to the bar. Last year, almost 1,000 were also called to the bar. So the access is now open. A lot of private institutions are now running LLB. We now have the law school, not only the Makola one. We now have a law school in KNUST, at UPSA, then GIMPA, then even University of Ghana, Legon.
I see they are even seeking to expand it even more with new structures that is coming up.
With new structures. So everything is being done. But that does not mean that
everyone will have access.
Everyone will have access. Because, for example, those who wrote the entrance exams recently, over 3,000 of them wrote the entrance exams. And less than 1,000 were able to make it to the law school. So already you have 2,000 students waiting. Students next year, others will also join. So that backlog is there. But
hey students, got a lot on your plate getting ready for homecoming? Shipt is here to help. So Shipt can connect you with a personal shopper who will same day deliver all homecoming must-haves. Burgers, chips, plates, drinks. Your shopper with Shipt will get all that and more from your favorite local stores so you can enjoy tailgating. Shipt, delight in every delivery. Check out shipt.com/student today for more info. That's SHIPT.com/student.
Trying to protect your identity by yourself is a lot like trying to be a quarterback without an offensive line. LifeLock alerts you to blindside threats you may miss on your own, even if you're monitoring your credit. If a threat happens to get through, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist is there to help. Join now and save up to 25% your first year at LifeLock.com/aware. That's LifeLock.com/aware to save 25%. LifeLock. Identity theft protection starts here.
Just like any other professions, you cannot say that everybody wants to be a doctor, so there should be no examination. If you go through the process and you pass, you take it. And previously, the law school was taking 500, 300. But at a point in time, it took over 1,200. So if 3,000 students sit in the exams and all of them pass, they have to go to a law school. So now, if you go to my region, at our region, the Boone region, there's a law faculty, the law school there. Sorry, a law faculty running LLB. If you go to WA now, you have the university there running LLB. So it's not only in Accra, you now have it Kumasi, Sunyane, WA, and the rest. So it's been expanded day in, day out.
In 2019, as presidential correspondent, I was at a site close to the UPSA where President Akufo-Addo cut short for work to start on the new Ghana Law School. That was to make facilities available so that this matter we are talking about access is, firmly addressed. And President Akufo-Addo in his speech said that, the campus will be running within a year, at least a year after the sword casting ceremony. No work is being done now.
Yes, it's true that the president cut the sword in 2019. Was it 2020?
I think 2020.
Now, the thinking was to build that edifice so that we have that big law school that can accommodate a lot of law students. Unfortunately, due to funding, that project has stalled. But let's hope that we're going to get necessary funding to take it up, because that's the way we can also help in expanding access to legal education in Ghana.
So we can be assured that this is being systematically addressed.
It has not been abandoned. It's about funding. Okay. And it's my expectation that we get the needed funding to go along with the project.
Okay. Final question before we go. Are we in safe hands, the Attorney General, in terms of, defending the Republic in the matters before it?
We are in safe hands. Certain. For the first time.
We have enough state attorneys?
We have enough state attorneys, but we need more. Now, the current Attorney General and his lieutenants and the officers in the ministry, for the first time, most, if not all, of the international arbitration that we are having, we have local lawyers from our ministry representing the state. Previously, we would go and engage foreign counsel with huge legal fees, but what we have done within this space is to ensure that we build a capacity of attorneys within the ministry so that we're able to defend the state when it comes to arbitration outside Ghana, even within Ghana. Civil matters, we have done a lot to the extent that we saved the state a lot of money. There was one judgment that in the sum of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis that one company in Ghana want to take from the people of Ghana because it had won a case. It went to the Supreme Court. At the end of the day, when we were able to tackle the matter so well, that particular company or entity did not get more than 30,000 Ghana cedis. So you see how it goes. There was a judgment of $50 million against the state. Yeah. The time for appeal had elapsed. We went to court and we were to set aside that judgment, so we also saved the state 15.3 million Ghana cedis. There are so many. You remember the Norway case where the state wanted to have the embassy. Yes. That case was fought. That one too. So there are a whole lot. So we are in safe hands. The only thing we need is that when it comes to criminal prosecution, we are pleading with Ghanaians to, as we say, when they see something, they must talk. When you are somewhere, you realize that a crime is being committed. You don't have to say, oh, I'm leaving the person and then go. If you have the evidence, please provide the evidence. Even if you are afraid that you don't want people to know you were the one who provide the evidence, there's a Whistleblowers Act. That act is seeking to tell you that go report and you are covered. Your identity will not be disclosed. Or you want to be protected as a witness. That one too, there's a law that will protect you as a witness. We've put in all these mechanisms so that people will feel free to cooperate with investigative bodies. That's the only way that we can fight crime in this country.
And when we do all this, we expect fair and just, judgment that should come from the courts. Do we have a very neutral, impartial, and transparent judiciary?
We have an impartial in terms of the judiciary. They are those judges, I can say, that they dispense justice in accordance with law. Our problem now...
Some of your opponents think that, justice appears to be the preserve of, especially for the MPP administration.
That is false. There are instances where people have been taken to court and the court has acquitted and discharged them. I can cite one example. My own senior and MP for Boko Central,
Mahama Yariga,
was he not taken to court?
Yes.
What happened? He was acquitted and discharged. So it's not about whether you belong to MPP, NDC, CPP. The judges are there to look at the evidence and then look at the law. If you are not guilty, no judge will pronounce you guilty. If you are guilty, a judge will pronounce you guilty. But I think the problem has to do with delays, which we concede is sometimes hampering the administration of justice in the country. Because sometimes you go to court and you have to take a whole lot of time. But I don't blame accused persons and their counsel, because they have the law on their side to also appeal at every stage of the process. But it is the duty of the court to also manage the court in such a way that we can have expeditious hearing.
Mr. Alfred Chianyebua, thank you very much for your time here on The Probe. It's been an honor having you to look at the workings of the Attorney General's Department and, of course, the Ministry of Justice. Well, first of all, we've been on The Probe today. We've been looking at the Attorney General's office. We've been looking at a variety of issues. We've looked at the illegal mining menace, the report that was cast out on the earlier report by Professor Vimpong, and of course, we've looked at the Atuasian matter and what now happens next since he's been put in jail for 15 years. We've also looked at the minority leaders, court case. The speaker seemed to think that this is political persecution and nothing less. The Deputy Attorney General has responded to it, quite frankly. Well, so this is how we bring the show to an end. It's been an honor having you. Same time next week, we will be here on The Probe. But this week, on your Joy News and, of course, on Joy 99.7 FM, ahead of the MPP's November 4 National Delegates Congress to elect a flag bearer for the 2024 general election. We've been speaking to delegates. Do you really know them? Do they exist? Are they humans? What motivates them to vote in the manner they did in the Super Delegates Congress? Do they sell their votes, and how much do they take? We've done a comprehensive feature on some of them across the country. We'll be rolling them out from tomorrow. We don't want to miss it ahead of the Congress in November. But for now, that's it. My name is Elton Brobe. You have a good evening. And until next edition of The Probe, stay safe.